Hey, good people, let me start by saying this. And I'm going to say this, and it may make some executives and some CEOs a little uncomfortable, but it's okay because it's the truth. And when we think about AI, your culture is not being lost because they're using AI. It's being lost because they're using AI in the absence of your leadership clarity. And that's a big difference. AI, it's not a villain, but it can be a revealer. And what it reveals is that when your communication is already unclear, it shows. Where your managers are already inconsistent, it reveals it. Where your teams already work in silos, and then where trust is already too thin, it reveals it. It reveals when people are already afraid to ask questions. And now, because AI is moving faster than your leadership conversations, the gap is getting louder. Here's the tension. Smart CEOs and executives are investing in AI. They're talking about efficiency. They're exploring automation. Smart CEOs are asking how to do more with less. But many of those same CEOs are not answering those important questions. Like, what kind of culture are we creating while we adopt this level of technology? Because if AI moves faster than trust, people do not become innovative. They become more guarded. If it moves faster than clarity, people do not become more efficient. They become more confused. And if AI moves faster than leadership alignment, the organization does not become more advanced. It's more fragmented. And that's what we're talking about today. Why smart CEOs and executives are losing their culture to AI and how to stop it. All right. Listen, you know who I am. Before we go any further, let me just reintroduce myself to some and introduce myself to others. I am Lena Morris, the founder and CEO of Authentic Encounters, the creator from training to transformation leadership approach, and the host of Authentic Encounters, Lena Speaks. I help executives, leadership teams, and high-performing professionals strengthen communication, emotional intelligence, work culture, and authentic leadership. My work sits in the intersection between leadership behavior, organizational culture, and conversations leaders are willing or unwilling to have. And today's conversation matters because AI is not just changing how work gets done, it's exposing how leadership gets practiced. So let's get into it. AI is not replacing culture. Let's just say that right now. It is revealing the culture that you already do have in place. Make no qualms about that. So let's start with the truth. AI is not your culture strategy. It is not your leadership strategy or your communication strategy. AI is not your change management strategy. AI is a tool, a powerful tool, a disruptive tool, a necessary one, but still yet is just a tool. And when a tool enters an unhealthy culture, it does not automatically make the culture healthier. It oftentimes makes the dysfunction more efficient. Now that's a mouthful. If your organization is already struggling and unclear with expectations, AI will amplify that. If your managers are already avoiding hard conversations, AI can't fix that. It can write a good script, but if they don't use it, it won't work. If your people already lack trust in leadership, it will not build a prompt for you to gain that trust. Bottom line, this is where smart CEOs and executives are getting trapped. They assume the problem is AI adoption, and they ask certain questions like, why aren't people using the tools? Why are teams resistant? Why are we not seeing productivity gains? And why is everybody still confused? But those are not just AI questions. Those should be leadership questions across the entire organization. Adoption is rarely just about technology. It's usually about leadership trust, meaning, and clarity. Adoption is about whether people believe leadership understands what this change means for their value, their future. Okay, so PwC's 2026 findings show that AI is accelerating uncertainty in the workplace. But performance depends on whether leaders can align strategy, skills, and trust. That is the leadership issue, not the technology issue. Your people are not only asking, how do I use AI? They are asking, will it replace me? Will this change how I am evaluated? Will my knowledge still matter? Will leadership use this to support us or monitor us? Will we be trained or just expected to figure it out? Or do we just want to make our work faster? And if you're a CEO or an executive and you don't create space for those questions, employees will answer those themselves. And we all know unanswered leadership questions usually starts writing its own story within the culture. And that story generally is not very positive or productive. I want to introduce the phrase culture leak. Okay. What does that mean? It is the slow drip of trust, clarity, psychological safety, that's leaving your organization while everybody is celebrating innovation. On the surface, everything looks progressive. It has new AI tools. Underneath the surface, people are quietly asking, are we still people here? Do leaders still see us? Is speed becoming more important than wisdom? Is efficiency becoming more important than trust? Output becoming more important than culture? This is where CEOs and executives need to pay attention because culture does not usually collapse loudly. I've said this before. Culture leaks quietly. It leaks through the side conversations, through meeting silence, passive compliance. It leaks through employees who use AI without telling anyone. It leaks through managers who pretend to understand tools that they've learned and they have not. It leaks through teams who become more productive but less connected. Through leaders who push innovation but avoid emotional honesty. The danger is not that AI will make your organization less human. The danger is that your organization was already becoming less human and AI gave you a business reason not to notice. Some CEOs are not losing culture because they're bad leaders. They're losing culture because they are moving strategically, but not relationally. They are investing in systems while under-investing in sense making. Let that hit you. They're talking about transformation while skipping the emotional transition their people have to make. They're asking employees to adapt without giving managers the language to lead them through the adaptation. Add curiosity, and here is where most leaders miss it. People do not resist change because it's new. People resist change when they do not trust how the change is being led. That is the difference. The dangerous assumption is believing intelligence equals readiness. That's a dangerous place to be. Many CEOs look around the room and say, we have smart people. They'll figure it out. They know AI is here. They understand the business case for it, and they understand how business has to evolve. And they figure people should just adapt. And yes, a lot of work environments and work organizations have smart people. But intelligence is not the same as readiness. Technical ability is not the same as emotional safety, and awareness is not the same as alignment. So when we talk about usage, just because they use it doesn't mean it's the same as trust. A smart employee can still be smart but uncertain. A high-performing manager can still feel threatened by this new technology. And a talented team can still become fragmented. And it still doesn't stop senior leaders from avoiding hard conversations. McKinsey Workplace AI research found that employees are often ready for AI, more ready than leaders are aware. But that readiness does not automatically translate into organizational impact. Employees need leadership, they need skills building, and a clear guidance to how to turn AI into real use in their workplace. And that's why CEOs and executives have to stop assuming that people are ready and assuming that technology just sits in the seat of the technology department. This is a leadership maturity issue, communication focus, trust focus, and overall culture issue. And it's also a development issue. If your leaders cannot communicate through uncertainty, AI will expose it. If your managers cannot coach people through identity shifts, AI will expose it. Your executive team, they can't align around what AI means in your workplace. It's visible. And if your organization has confused speed with strategy, there again, it's exposed. How does a smart CEO and executives lose their culture to AI? The first way CEOs lose culture to AI is by making it about tools. They talk about platforms, automation, prompts, productivity, cost savings, workflows, but they don't talk enough about trust. And granted, all those things are needed, but they also need the human side of that conversation. Your people don't just need to know what tools to use. They need to know what the tool means. They need to know what will change and what will not. They also need to know how decisions will be made and whether AI will influence performance reviews. They need to know whether using AI is expected, optional, or secretly being tracked. And these are all real conversations that I hear people bring up anytime I'm having a conversation in organizations about AI. When leaders don't define the role of AI, employees define it through fear. And that's a dangerous place to be. Another way CEOs lose culture to AI is by pushing efficiency without protecting meaning. So efficiency is not bad. Hear me well. Productivity is not bad, and neither is automation. But people do not want to feel like the goal is to extract more from them while you're valuing them any less. People can handle change, but what they can't handle is feeling disposable. AI can generate content, but it cannot carry your culture. It can summarize a meeting, but it cannot rebuild trust after a leader avoids accountability. And the one thing it really can't do is sit across from another team member and say, I hear you, I own my part, and here is how we need to move forward. CEOs cannot delegate the cultural meaning of AI to random interpretation. Your executive team has to be aligned. What is AI for in this organization? Do we have ethical boundaries? What are the expectations on how you communicate it? What behaviors will be rewarded? And what risks should be named when you're using it? So, when executive teams are unclear, middle managers inherit that confusion. And when middle managers inherit confusion, employees experience culture inconsistency. Many organizations are starting AI training. They're offering webinars, they're buying the licenses, they're teaching prompt writing and using policies and creating them. And all that stuff is very helpful. Trust me, it is. But who is training the leaders to lead the human side of AI? Helping teams decide when human judgment is needed. Who's helping managers coach people through identity shifts? Am I valuable because I know the answer? Or am I valuable because I know how to think, discern, and apply judgment? All of these are the human side of AI and leading people through it. It's important to know how employees see themselves using AI. Do they feel supported using it or do they feel monitored? Two different lens to look at from the employee's perspective. So at Authentic Encounters, we don't believe transformation happens because a company introduces a new tool. Transformation happens when leadership behaviors change. It happens when communication becomes clearer, when trust becomes intentional, and transformation happens when leaders stop assuming people are aligned just because they are attending the same meeting. So if you're listening to this and thinking this is exactly what we are navigating through right now. We have the AI conversations happening, but we're not fully connected them to culture. Our leaders are moving fast, but our people may not be moving with us. We need help making sense of what this means for leadership, communication, and trust, then I want you to take the next step and visit AuthenticEncountersLLC.com and download the Leadership Alignment Diagnostic. It is designed to help you identify where leadership clarity, communication, trust, and culture alignment may be breaking down. And if your organization needs a deeper conversation, book a call with me. I'll be happy to speak with you about it because the goal is not simply to have your organizations adopt AI. The goal is to lead in a way that keeps your culture human while your organization becomes more advanced. So you say, what do we do? I'm a smart CEO and I'm losing my culture to AI because I'm not doing it with trust, clarity, and leadership. So there's just a little framework I'd share with you that I share with other people. I want CEOs and executive teams to think about AI through a human leadership lens. It's not soft, it's not fluffy, it is strategic because culture is not a side conversation. It is an operating system that your technology runs through. And if your operating system is unhealthy, the tool will not deliver what you think it will deliver. So use this framework I use with other people. It's called HUMAN, HUMAN. H, honor the fear before you demand the future. U, unify the executive message. M, make managers culture carriers. A, audit the trust impact. N, name what stays human. So when you think about H, right? This is the first move, is to honor the fear before you demand the future. That does not mean let fear run the organization. It means you stop pretending that fear isn't even in the room. Employees are wondering what AI means for their role. Managers are wandering around and thinking like, what am I supposed to be the expert? I barely know how to do time clock. Leaders are wondering how fast they need to move. And team members are like, listen, is any of this safe? Fear that is named can be led. Fear that is ignored, it becomes culture noise and nobody can hear it. When you talk about unifying, that is the second move to unify executives. You need a clear plan about how you're going to implement AI across the organization. You have a responsibility both to the organization and to the employees on how you're supposed to be on the same page. Mixed messages create mistrust, not because employees are difficult, but because employees are in fact discerning. When they pick up on any misalignment, it leaves them asking many questions. Your executive team should be able to define what the AI philosophy is for your organization, what is the people philosophy, how you're going to adopt it, and be able to communicate consistently across the organization so that communication isn't compromised in the name of speed. Alignment should become one of the top points of clarity within your organization. Then we talk about the M. Make your managers the culture carriers. This might actually be the most important piece of them all because employees don't experience AI strategy through the boardroom or the CEO. They actually experience it through their direct manager, and they experience it in their team meetings, in their performance conversations. They experience it when their manager either creates clarity or adds confusion. So you should have a manager training that explains how all this should unfold, how to encourage experimentation, how to protect human connection while the work becomes automated, how to coach people through skill shifts because they'll have to learn new skills, and how to recognize productivity pressure. If managers are not equipped, AI adoption becomes an emotional burden placed in the middle, smack dab in the middle of the organization. Then you must get to this point where you audit the trust impact. Are people using AI? And you should ask the questions. Do people trust how we are leading AI? That is a different question. Then we need to move to auditing trust. Do employees understand why we're adopting AI? Do they understand what's expected of them? What decisions require human judgment? Will leadership be honest about any role changes? Do managers feel like they're equipped to lead the change? Are you using AI to support people or quietly intensify the pressure? These are all important questions that you need to use to audit the trust in your organization. And then finally, name what stays human. Now, you might say, Lena, that is weird. People know what's going to stay human. Maybe not. This is where CEOs and executive teams have to stay clear. In an AI enabled organization, what will remain human? What decisions require wisdom and empathy and discernment? What parts of leadership are you not going to automate? Right? Those are powerful questions. And if left unanswered, it can create havoc in your organization. So don't let AI define your values by default. You name them, you repeat them, you model them, and reward people. You should have some form of human leadership, trust that stays human, accountability that stays human, empathy, judgment, courage, ethical decision making, coaching, relationship building. Culture stewardship stays human. AI can assist the work. It really can, but leaders must still carry the weight of the meaning. The CEO who wins with AI will be the CEO who led the human side of transformation. So let's be clear. AI is not going away. The question is not whether your organization should engage with AI. The question is whether your leadership is mature enough to guide what AI changes. The leaders who win will not be the ones who simply move the fastest. They will be the ones who move with clarity, who tell the truth, the ones who build trust before demanding transformation. They will be the ones who train managers, not just employees, the ones who understand that culture is not protected by intention. Culture is protected by leadership behavior. CEOs and executive teams need to understand something. Your people are watching how you lead this transition. And they're watching what you celebrate and what you shame. They are watching whether you ask for input or whether you admit uncertainty, whether your actions match your language. They're watching all of it. And they're watching how AI will become a tool for empowerment or a tool for pressure. So, this is not the moment for performative leadership. This is not the moment for vague messaging, for executives to hide behind technology language. This is the moment for courageous leadership, human leadership, clear leadership, leadership that is emotionally intelligent. Culture is not what people say in your value statement. Culture is what your people experience when pressure enters the room. And AI is pressure. Market change is pressure. Data centers are pressure. Workforce uncertainty is pressure. Productivity demands, pressure. And pressure reveals true leadership. Don't get it twisted. So if your culture depends on things to stay calm, it's not a strong culture because there is no calm culture. If your communication when things are changing is not strong, you might be in trouble. The real test of culture is not how people behave when the strategy is exciting. The real test of culture is how leaders behave when the future feels uncertain. And we are right there in it. So, here are some of the questions I would be asking CEOs and executive teams right now. Where is AI creating clarity in our organization or confusion? What are managers pretending to understand but really don't? Where are we moving too fast without alignment? And where are we measuring usage and ignoring trust? The questions leaders avoid become the stories employees believe. Let that hit you. At Authentic Encounters, I believe leadership transformation requires more than information. It requires examination, behavior change, communication that cuts through assumptions. It requires leaders who are willing to ask, how am I contributing to the culture I say I want to change? And that applies to AI as well, because AI will not save a culture that leadership is unwilling to examine. It will not repair trust, create alignment, replace courage, remove the need for emotional intelligence. It will not make unclear leaders clear. I mean, it's good, but it ain't that good. It won't make avoidant leaders brave. It will only accelerate what already exists. So the question is your organization ready for AI? The deeper question is your leadership ready for what AI will reveal? If this episode is hitting something you already feel inside your organization, do not ignore it, please. If your leadership team is talking about AI, but not talking about trust, culture, communication, and manager readiness, that's a signal. If you are sensing confusion beneath the surface, it's a signal. If your teams are moving but not aligned, signal. The next steps, they're simple. Go to AuthenticEncountersLLC.com and download the Leadership Alignment Diagnostic. Use it to begin identifying where clarity, trust, communication, and leadership alignment may be breaking down in your organization. And if you guys are ready for a deeper conversation, book a discovery call with me, because AI adoption should not cost you more than your culture. It should challenge your leadership to become clearer, stronger, and more human. Let me leave you with this. Smart CEOs are not losing culture because they are thinking about AI. They're losing culture when they think AI can move forward without equally serious conversations about people. The future of work will absolutely include AI. But the future of healthy organizations will still require trust. They will still require leadership, clarity, emotional intelligence, courageous communication, and it will still require executives and CEOs who understand that culture does not belong to HR. Culture belongs to, in fact, all of leadership. AI may change the way work gets done, but leadership will determine how people experience that change. And that is where culture is either protected or lost. Thank you for listening to Authentic Encounters, Lena Speaks. If this episode challenged you in any way and you're thinking about AI and culture, share it with another CEO or executive or manager who needs to hear it. And don't forget to go to AuthenticEncountersLLC.com to download the Alignment Diagnostic and book a discovery call. I'm Lena Morris, and remember, transformation does not happen because leaders say the right things. Transformation happens when leaders are willing to examine what their behavior is creating. Until next Tuesday.